Strange prison celebrations from around the world. Part 2.
If you are brand new to our channel, we invite you to take a moment to subscribe. Just click on the lit red button as well as the gray bell. Why the bell? Well, it will let you know every time we post a new video.
9. The Vallenato Party at La Picota prison. So far on the list, these celebrations seem fairly reasonable. No one should be having too good of a time in prison, but it's definitely fair that they have a good day every once in a while to boost morale and remind them of the good things that wait on the outside. But the Vallenato Party at La Picota prison in Bogotá, Colombia might be pushing it a little bit. In this particular prison, things are much more relaxed. This particular type of party stems from prisoners and politicians being intertwined, resulting in special privileges. These lavish parties aren't something that's necessarily celebrated or admired, but instead condemned by the public. The parties usually include live performances and plenty of alcohol, something that prisoners should never get their hands on. But regardless, they continue to happen due to the mixing of politics in prisons. 10. Prisoners' last meals in various locations. Have you ever wondered what your last meal would be? Maybe the fast food you had today was your last lunch. Or maybe it'll be Thanksgiving dinner in 50 years. Whatever yours may be, there will be one. And for prisoners given the death penalty, they actually get to choose what they'll be having. In most cases, those who are sentenced to an execution are granted one request for any meal they want. In contemporary times, the budget for their last meal is usually somewhere between $15 and $40. Most people request reasonable things, like steak or shrimp. Some people get a little weird with their requests, however, like Victor Fieger, who requested one olive with the pit inside. When you think about it, it's pretty morbid to know that anything will be your last of something. But you have to remember that anyone who is sentenced to the death penalty has done something so brutal and vicious that the courts decided the only way to rid the world of their evil is to simply kill them. 11. When prisoners celebrate Halloween. People love dressing up as inmates and cops every Halloween. This year, people even love dressing up as Hillary Clinton in prison garb. The reality is, these people aren't just in costumes. This is their life, and every day they have to wear the costume. Some prisoners also go as far to say that life behind bars is like Halloween every day. It's true that they do go through some hardships, but not every day is bleak for others. And Halloween means a fun celebration for a select few prisoners. In low-security facilities, for mostly non-violent criminals serving short sentences, Halloween is a way to celebrate. Some save up candy and pass it out on Halloween. They still get creative and make costumes, mostly using white sheets as ghosts. And some are even allowed to watch scary movies or shows that are playing on the television. For some in maximum security facilities, however, every day you're surrounded by serial killers and murderers who want to harm you. 12. Indiana Prison's Talent Show. In one Indiana state prison, prisoners get the luxury of participating in an annual talent show. The show is even featured in an unscripted movie called The Redemption Project, Inmates Got Talent. The performance includes about 20 inmates who are all non-violent criminals. Many of them have less than 7 years left of their time served as well, meaning no one who was sentenced with a life term gets the opportunity to perform. This is strange, in that you imagine prisoners as mostly tough criminals who keep quiet and to themselves. Instead, they all love performing and cheering on performers during the show. Celebrations like this are good, in that they help steer prisoners in a more creative and inspiring direction, rather than putting them in a position that might result in them ending up back behind bars. When you give prisoners something to live for, suddenly their desire to commit more crimes decreases. 13. Sobriety graduations in prisons. When you think of graduating, it's the ultimate time to celebrate. High school graduation means you're gaining independence from your parents and teachers, and get to move on to a new phase in life. College graduation means you're free from doing homework ever again. But for some graduations in prison, it's a completely different story. We're talking about sobriety graduations. As you can assume, a lot of people with addiction problems go to prison. When you're incarcerated, depending on where you're sent, it can be pretty challenging to maintain your drug or alcohol abuse. Oftentimes, sobriety groups are offered for prisoners to find a place to discuss their addictions and work through them together. Some are forced into the sobriety sentence, although that they might have been given a lighter sentence. Regardless, once completing the program, many people enjoy celebrating their new sobriety. The irony is that they only get a small graduation ceremony, and are then forced back into the life they'd found behind bars. 14. 4th of July at Willard-Cybulski Correctional Institution. At the Willard-Cybulski Correctional Institution, prisoners are able to get outside and enjoy the 4th of July for a change. It's a bit ironic, as the 4th of July is all about celebrating our independence and freedom. When you're a prisoner, those are two things that are definitely lacking. The prisoners don't even get to fully enjoy the holiday, as they're put to work most of the day. They're hired by the town of Enfield for a local 4th of July celebration. The organization is a non-profit one, so they rely on the free work the prisoners bring. All of the men who volunteer are non-violent criminals who have very little time left in their sentence. Though they do the work of what could normally cost $8,000 in labor, the prisoners are ready and willing to provide their services. It boosts morale, and gives them a taste of what good awaits them, causing them to maintain consistent good behavior, while they serve out the rest of their short sentence. 15. Mother's Day for prisoners. Mother's Day is a special time in which children dedicate a day to celebrate their moms. But for the mothers who are behind bars, it's a much different story. The majority of women who are sentenced to prison are there on drug-related charges. Next to these statistics is the fact that less than 10% of children under the age of 18 will ever get to see their mother in prison. This is because some are sent to live with foster families, some stay with parents who don't want their child to visit the incarcerated spouse, and some can't afford to make the possible lengthy trip to the prison. So the truth is, a lot of non-violent women have to sit behind bars, while they grow further and further from the child. This means that Mother's Day for a lot of women behind bars means that it will be a summer and lonely day, while they reflect on how they could celebrate the day. But luckily, some prisons do work hard to ensure their inmates get the opportunity to bond with their child for a short period. In Alabama and California, there are a few programs that help transport kids from their homes to prisons.